Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carl. I'm a recovery coach here at Cap Recovery. This is our coffee and conversation meeting of the day. Topic I have picked today is what does addiction and recovery look like? And also, it's Suicide Prevention Month and Recovery Month as well. So we're going to hop right back into it. Addiction is one of the most stigmatized mental health conditions that exist. From drug addiction, alcohol abuse, and substance use disorders, all these can inflict a lot of mental health issues for the addict. However, most addicts suffer from some form of mental health issues before the addiction takes hold. And it goes on to say, it says, what does addiction mean? There are plenty of definitions of addiction. Perhaps the easiest, the biggest, is the addiction is not having control over doing, taking, or using something harmful to you. According to Action and Addiction, 1 or 3 people suffer from form of addiction, some form of addiction. So this talks about the substance addiction. Commonly, addiction issues are associated with alcohol addiction, drug abuse, nicotine, and prescription drugs. That is the substance part of it. And it says the process addiction, however, addictive behaviors known as process addiction can also be shopping, gaming, work, gambling. So there's all, see, this article is talking about all types of addictions. There's always don't have to be the drugs and alcohol, right? It can be work, gaming, shopping, smoking. There's all types of addiction, and we need help with. And it goes on and says, what are the 5 stages of recovery? Addiction recovery is a unique experience for each individual hoping to abstain from substance abuse. So here's some of them talking about the 5 stages of recovery. Recovery from a drug abuse gets glamorized or thought about in the wrong way. Addiction recovery comes with many bumps in the road. Very true. Therefore, the treatment and recovery process is one that takes commitment and adequate mental health support from the addict's loved ones, and of course, those who specialize in addiction and recovery. And it says 5 stages of recovery. The 5 stages of addiction and recovery involve 1, acknowledging the addiction. When someone acknowledges that they have a problem with addiction, it is the first step to them accepting treatment. In this stage, a person may still drink or take drugs, but they are aware that they have an addiction problem. The learning experience that comes with acknowledgement and awareness of addiction allows individuals to move out of the denial phase, which makes room for drug treatment or other substance abuse in the future. So this is good. Acknowledging the addiction. So it's saying like they don't have to be clean, right? They don't have to be completely off substance, right? They still can be taking drugs and alcohol, right? But the awareness and acknowledgement of I have a problem, and that's some type of acceptance and that acknowledgement and that awareness, it's a step in the right direction, right? Number 2, addiction awareness. In this stage, the individual abusing drugs or alcohol begins to come to terms with the damage they have done to themselves and their friends and family. And this when the blinkers come off. So if the blinkers come off, and while they may still be using substance, the individual realizes the damage their addiction problem has caused. So they're building more of a conscience, right? They're being more aware what wrongs they are doing to themselves and their family. When you get lost in addiction, you really don't care who you hurt, right? You don't really care about yourself, so why do you care about hurting others? So you're building that conscience and that awareness of like, this is not feeling good anymore, right? So you're getting slowly but surely, you're getting to that part where it's like, I have to do something about this, right? Exploring recovery. Someone entering the exploratory phase may not have reached out for addiction treatment as such. However, the individual might be abstaining from drugs or alcohol abuse themselves by either cutting down or cutting out drinking or drug taking entirely. Those who attempt to abstain from substance abuse without proper treatment and recovery will realize that recovery is something they can't do alone. Very true. Because this is usually the time when the addict begins to seek treatment options such as support, group meetings, or entering a 10-day treatment program. So exploring recovery. So it's coming to a point of like, something's got to be done. So I'm trying to cut down, right? I've been at this point where like I would, insanity of it, like I won't do this drug, but I'll do another. I won't use this day, but I'll use this day, right? I cut down on the drug use, changing drugs, not going to use drugs. I'll just drink alcohol. So there's trying to do these methods of like lessening the consequences of our actions, right? And it talks about we can't do this alone, which is very true, because I try to become my own doctor. I try to do my own treatment, and it usually didn't end up too good. So it's always great to seek professional help and, seek healthy support. Number 4. So the beginning of addiction and recovery. This stage is when reality hits home and the addict is learning what life is like without substance. All this can prove that be a quite challenging time, as soon who is in the fate of addiction recovery is in the process of mending the damaged relationships with loved ones brought on by drugs use or alcohol abuse. It's common for addicts to have relapsed during this phase of addiction recovery. All this is a proof that mistakes can and do occur in treatment and recovery phase. The key is for the addict to accept and forgive their mistakes, continue to practice their coping skills, cultivate a healthy diet, and focus on living a life that is free of substance abuse. And it talks about bumps in the road. We all have bumps in the road. We all have setbacks, but it doesn't have to be, right? We can learn from our own mistakes, but better off we can learn from others. So it talks about coping skills, cultivate a healthy diet. So it's the mind, body, spirit kind of deal. Having the coping skills, you eat healthy, you feel better. Just living good, living right. Treating others how you want to be treated. Number 5, recovery and aftercare. Once someone has stopped taking drugs or drinking, the individual needs to be aware that the habits do not stop because they are no longer using. No matter what the addiction might be, the process of recovery is lifelong, and the methods that one adopts in an addiction treatment program can allow them the self-control to kick the substance abuse habit. At this stage, the individual will have learned coping mechanisms, identified what triggers their addiction, and will have built a stable support network to turn to when challenges arise. All this allows the individual to sustain a drug-free and alcohol-free lifestyle. So it talks about aftercare. So you have to build that foundation. You have to get that support, because things it talks about, they do arise. You can have urges, you can have thoughts, you can have a desire one day, but you can't do this alone. So you have that support system. You have family and friends. You got these healthy relationships. You have boundaries. You have coping skills. And you build these things, and you can start if somebody's in treatment or just getting out of treatment. You stick with those things, and it talks about being a lifelong process, right? We have to be on the path of recovery. It's a lifelong process of changing our attitudes, our ideas, our beliefs, our thought patterns. So it's a lifelong process. Which for me, at first I was like, man, I have to do this the rest of my life, right? But I was in that headspace of just beginning my recovery process. I was in the beginning of it, right? So over time, my life has changed. I have changed, and it became that recovery is a part of my life today. So, which I love. Let's see here. It says, how long does it take to recover from a relapse? Addicts need to remember that with recovery, there will be many hiccups. Part of addiction recovery, whether it be from drug use or other substance like alcohol, is to understand and forgive any slip-ups that are likely to occur at some point during the recovery process. So relapse could be a part of anybody's story, but it doesn't have to be. That's I always say it's not a part of recovery, but it can be, right? It can be part of your story, and that's somewhat okay too, right? But there's always you can always get back to recovery. If you're still alive, you still got a chance, right? But a lot of that guilt and shame will hold people out to cause more chaos and more damage in their life. And that guilt and shame of coming back to recovery, can hold people out there. And the longer you stay out, the scarier it is, right? It says, what does relapse mean? A relapse is a definition when a person returns to using drugs or alcohol after a period of sobriety. So when you're period of sobriety, you're clean, you're sober, and you're in recovery, then you end up using, that is a relapse. And, we all can recover from it. It's just sometimes it's harder for others to come back. All I want is you guys to come back, because you still got a shot, right? If you still got a breath in you, you still got a shot. So don't let that guilt and shame hold you back. Two types of relapse. There are two types of relapse, one being more traditional, and this is when an individual knowingly takes drugs or alcohol, they might use an excuse such as they had a bad day at work or they needed to calm their nerves. The second type of relapse is called freelance. All this is when an individual has ingested drugs or alcohol unintentionally. For instance, if their drink was spiked or accidentally given alcohol. Oh, well, that could happen. Not knowingly getting something to drink and you didn't know there was alcohol in it or whatever like that. That can actually happen. But that's why you have a mentor or a sponsor or someone you can confide in, that to be open and honest and say this is what happened, but I didn't use and I didn't continue to drink the drink or whatever the case may be, right? It was unintentional. So but hopefully you don't run with that. Is it common to relapse and recover again? Most people in addiction treatment will experience feeling of shame or guilt or embarrassment when they relapse. However, it is possible to relapse and enter back into recovery. Relapses frequently occur during treatment recovery. A relapse doesn't mean the end of the road. It merely means that recovery from drugs or alcohol isn't as smooth sailing as we like it to be. It's true, right? For me today, it's scary just to even think to go back out and use drugs or alcohol, right? I came to a place where my life is too good today. I have a better understanding of myself and the world around me to not go back out and use, right? But if relapse does happen, like it talks about the guilt and shame and embarrassment, you can't let that hold you down. You cannot let that hold you back from entering back into recovery, right? Because I know it's fear of judgment. What are they going to say? What do they think of me? And yeah, it can be tough, right? But the longer you stay out, the lesser chance to come back, right? So I learned that through other people in recovery. It's scary, it's a lot scarier now because fentanyl is everything. So what is the recovery process? As mentioned earlier on, getting help is the first step to recovery from addiction. When someone seeks professional help, they are more likely to get the treatment they need to recover from a substance use disorder. Drug addiction treatment centers, rehab centers, and 12-step programs are effective in treating a wide range of addictions. So what is recovery process? So for me, it was treatment, right? And then when I got out of treatment, I went to a 12-step fellowship. So this is basically talking about the pathway to recovery. I went to a 12-step fellowship. I do go to church. Um, they have holistic stuff that you can adapt to your recovery. What else? There's smart recovery. Um, there's all kinds of things that you can adapt to your life that can better your life. That's what recovery process is about. It's about changing. It's about growing. It's about being better. Um, and that can look different from everybody, right? Everybody's recovery process is not the same, and that's okay too. You have to find out what works for you that can move you forward, because what worked for me might not work for you, right? And that's okay too. But we have an understanding of, I'm trying to help you, and you're trying to help me. That mutual support. Addiction recovery process, according to the U.S. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. SHMSA, recovery from mental health and substance use disorder is a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. That's what we're aiming for a full potential. Recovery is a process of growth, healing, and transformation. Abstaining from drug use or any other substance requires learning, and in some cases, unlearning any behaviors that were not serving you before. In treatment and recovery, the individual is encouraged to learn and practice necessary skills to live a life that is whole and healthy. And here's one: growth. Growth and healing are synonyms, which recovery, it offers a platform for healing, a profound sense of self-understanding, and allows individuals the tool to surf the waves of recovery. Often growth involves understanding triggers and coping mechanisms that get adopted over a long period that led to addiction. Learning that alcohol and drug use was what matched whatever pain or trauma you have experienced in the past. That one is very important. Bringing loved ones and family members into the recovery process as a part of your recovery, allies, and support group. Learn to live a life that is whole and healthy, a substance-free life. Amen to that, huh? It says healing. Healing from a substance use disorder is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Each individual has different needs and requirements, and treatment options should mirror those needs. SHMSA published 10 guiding principles of recovery, which explains principles of addiction recovery further, namely that healing occurs through many pathways. We're just talking about that, pathways, right? Recovery pathways include professional clinical treatment, strategic use of medications, support from family, friends, and faith-based support groups and resources, and mutual aid groups. And we're talking about the 12-step programs, right? 12-step programs are an invaluable part of addiction recovery process. These programs afford those in recovery the opportunity to build allies and a stable support network for recovery. Those in recovery can share their experience, and through their shared experience, offer support and validation to one another. In 12-step recovery programs, those in recovery find meaning, acceptance, connections, and mutual understanding through interactions with their peers. Recovery Addicts also find a foundational support group they can relate to and turn to them when times get tough. Like I said earlier, I do attend a 12-step program. I do go to Narcotics Anonymous, and that's a big part of my recovery. That's what I would do from my beginning of my journey until I perish, and I came to accept that, and which Narcotics Anonymous afforded me a life that I never thought I would have, right? And through God, Grace, and Mercy, Narcotics Anonymous, I have a sponsor. I got a home group. I'm in service of others, and that's what I do for my recovery process. And if it's not broke, don't try to fix it, right? So this is what's been working for me, and what recovery is about is finding what works for you. And let's go to the transformation. Recovering from Addiction is a lifelong process full of ups and downs, twists and turns. However, the transformations that occur for addicts and recovery are worth all the struggles and pitfalls along the way. This little sentence here, man, really hit with me, right? Because it talks about full of ups and downs, twists and turns, and whatever comes my way, right? Because like life shows up, right? We have life on life terms, and you know how to cope with that, how to deal with that in a healthy way instead of using drugs and alcohol, right? Because that's what we used to do, right? We whatever happens, we try to master emotions and feelings with the drugs and alcohol, right? And which in the process cause more damage, cause more harm, cause more grief, and so there was a time to have to man up. Yeah, I have to uh, face the situation head on, right? And actually, you know, just be a better person, right? Because like what I was doing was using drugs and alcohol, and I was causing a lot of harm, until I came to terms with that and like it stopped, the drugs stopped working. Like I had to change, like the transformation is talking about. I had to change people, places, and things, and I had to cut a lot of things in my life. I had to. If not, I was going to die, right? Because like I said, we have ups and downs and twists and turns. It doesn't matter if it's an addiction or if we're clean in recovery, right? We will all have bad days, good days, but what the recovery process has taught me, like that's okay. This will pass. You know, we'll reset tomorrow. We can reset our days at any moment throughout the day, right? We can reset, stop, pray, stop and pause, and reflect on what's going on, so I don't act out. There's a lot of coping skills and a lot of ways we can deal with life today, and just not using drugs and alcohol. And it takes time. Power of choices. We all have the power to make choices. These choices either heal or hurt us, but they are to make, to ours to make. Active addiction is when a person decides that they want to drink or abuse drugs, and if the individual has the power to make choices that can harm them, they can also make choices that don't hurt them or their health in any way. Self control, recovery, willingness to change, and to live a substance free life comes down to many things, and one of those things is the power to make the right choices. Through treatment and recovery, individuals learn that they are the person in control of their lives. That is possible to live a life that is a free or drug use and addiction. See, living free, getting professional help, and staying on the path of recovery allows individuals the self-control and validation to recover from their addiction problem and to witness transformation within that they never thought was possible. Hmm. Never thought was possible, huh? And this last part is looking to the future. Going through setbacks to make you stronger. It might make you recognize weaknesses and triggers that you missed the first time around. Instead of looking at setbacks as the end, look at them as a part of the recovery process. Recovery is a way of life, is a part of who you are, and is something to be worked on every day, and you are worth it. Get in touch with the team or recovery process. Get in touch with a 12-step program. Uh, there's counselors, there's therapists, there's treatment. We're a recovery center here. I'm a recovery coach. There's many things. There's a lot of resources out there that will help you out in your process of recovery. We're all here to help each other. And just living a life without the use of drugs and alcohol, man, it's a lot freeing. It's a lot, because you're bound to the drugs and alcohol. Like, it ruled my life. It ruled everything. Everything that I would wake up and go to sleep, it was about drugs and alcohol. And losing that obsession is through the process of recovery. We want it now, we want it soon, we want it yesterday, but the recovery process happens when it happens, right? You just gotta hold on and ride the waves out, as they say, you know. But that was the end of our article today. Like I said earlier, it's Suicide Prevention Month and Recovery Month. So until next time, see you later.